Hey everybody, welcome back to ThinkScript. My name is Mike Fairborn. Hope you had a good week in the markets and hope you're having a good day. Happy Friday, I must say. Good to be back with you. Today I want to talk about some of the reversal patterns that are out there that I haven't seen used. In fact, we don't actually have any sort of indicators for them right now, at least along the lines of, let's say, fractal reversals that are out there. But fractals are a pretty common, I wouldn't say common, but they're a pretty interesting concept. Want to talk about those today, do some coding specifically for fractals. So I'll look forward to doing that with you. I would like to welcome all of you here today. We've got Robert Boucher. Great to have Robert here, as well as Will Ocean Life. We've got Scott, coming from Hawaii, of course. We've got David Ricebird. We got Life of the Fast Lane. Great to have you all on board here, folks. Looking forward to our discussion. I want to dive on into that today, and we're going to break down some of the code specifically. So we'll go line by line today. It's actually quite simple, but it could be quite powerful too in terms of what a fractal could do for a possible reversal. We're going to be looking at upside reversal. So with that, let's hit some disclosures to get going. Uh, Information here is for general information purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation or endorsement of any particular security chart pattern or investment strategy. Now, Schwab does not recommend the use of technical analysis as a sole means of investment research. The paper money software application is for educational purposes only. Let's see, backtesting results presented are hypothetical, and there is no guarantee that the same strategy implemented today would produce similar results. Investing does involve risk, including loss of principal, and past performance of any security strategy does not guarantee future results or success. So with that, we'll go ahead and dive on into our agenda here, folks. And just a quick review, like we do each and every week. Steps to think scripting. First off, we identified the goal today. I was looking at the potential for reversals within the market using price data specifically. We've been stuck in indicators for a little bit. As you recall, last week we did the parabolic stop and reverse. But I'm going to shift back to some of the price data that can be coded fairly straightforward, but can actually be quite helpful too. Now, question is can think scripting meet that goal? We're going to outline the steps. I'll talk through this in a little bit more detail here momentarily. We'll apply ThinkScript schools. We'll write those scripts. We're going to test them, and we're going to share that link at the end. But before we get going, let's jump up into just a general discussion of what we've got right now to kind of set things up in terms of the market. I'm going to be using some coding today for reversal type patterns, as I mentioned, but they're going to be looking at really that upward type move. And that's because, I mean, we can easily code this to the downside as well. But if we're looking at the upward, we might want to be in line with generally what the markets are doing. Is it risk on or risk off? A lot of times when you're looking at the markets, risk on would be considered, hey, maybe it's time to participate in the market. Let me change some colors up here and the font size. And I'll just draw this through here. But yeah, we broke above. Wow, hang on. Went one too far over. That should do it. Okay, let's try that one more time. So right over here, you can see we did gap up above those highs. We're kind of holding in this range right there. All else equal, that could be construed as a positive in the market. And we'll do just a quick review, a quick look at, I should say, the NDX here. So we can get that pulled up too. Not quite to those highs, but if we look over here at our grids, you'll see 6-month grid over here, as you can see. Yeah, I mean, markets are looking pretty, the S&P 500 relative to all of its sectors have been holding up quite well. I'm just down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Yellow sticks out so well down here. There we go. So SPX right over here, just like we said, just clearing some highs. Really we're continuing to see strength within communication services. Probably one of the stronger ranges there. I think you've got Netflix in there, you got Google. Also, Infotech has been quite strong, along with financials. We did see some pretty sharp bounces occurring, though, in materials and industrials. Side note, we'll see if there are any sort of fractal type setup moves that might fall into that range as well. But just wanted to get a general sense of what's going on, what may in fact be lifting the markets. There's no doubt about it, though, that those recent bounces within some of those key sectors, materials, industrials, even healthcare, and some others have really had a nice bounce higher here too. Energy's kind of maybe possibly flagging a little bit too. We'll see. Okay. Well, let's go back to our regular charts over here, back to our SPX. And what I wanted to do was go through kind of an explanation first off in terms of what I wanted to review, what our discussion is today. So when we're talking about fractals, I'm going to draw this, and I'm going to draw it just on a blank screen initially, just kind of focus on that drawing real quick first. A fractal. What is a fractal? Well, there were some market technicians that have been around for literally decades who got familiar with something referred to as a Mandelbrot set. Anybody familiar with that? A Mandelbrot set. The Mandelbrot set basically looks at patterns that repeat at different scales. And so they have this kind of self-similarity in this complex geometric shape, but that geometric shape can keep shifting. And what those shapes show is that there can be reversal type scenarios. In fact, this is, and so we take that together in terms of the way that Mandelbrot himself, who was a scientist from a few decades back, but he had some great discoveries around geometric shapes, had talked about changes within just natural changes that you'll see within geometric shapes. So these technicians looked at it and they said, well, the Mandelbrot set, we can pretty much figure it out. It's going to be a reversal pattern where you're getting a couple of different lows coming in over here, followed by a key low. And then what's going to happen is you're going to follow through, and I'm just going to change the color over here, but it's just the same kind of a diagram. It's just the same kind of a drawing. But then it's going to be followed by a couple of different higher lows. And that ultimately is a fractal. It's a fractal reversal, and I would call this an upward fractal reversal. So say, for example, we're looking at a chart over here, and the chart has been coming down over a time frame, right? And we're looking at it. If we were to see an indication down here where we get something like this, like it's basically a 5-bar range, so we're just looking at 5 bars, and within those 5 bars, we're looking for a follow-through. And we're not looking at closing prices. This is a very, very key point. We're looking at the actual lows of the bars themselves, or the candlestick charts themselves. So the lows only. This is how a fractal works. Okay? And of these 5 bars, the middle bar here has to be the lowest low, and this is going to be followed by higher lows for the next 2 bars. And a lot of times we're looking at a daily chart. But what you're looking at right now, folks, I'll just put it right here, that is a fractal potential reversal. It's not a guaranteed reversal, but you're going to see some interesting indications as we look at this. And by the way, we looked at other charts. In fact, I think many of you are actually pretty good. And I've seen some requests too on candlestick charts, identifying candlestick charts, which would be a really cool one for us to look at because they are so timely in some cases. But like, say, for example, a candlestick, a lot of times we could see a bar like this. Could also be, let's say the middle bar could be a doji, right? Where you're getting the open and the close of a bar being generally the same price. Generally, it's within 5 to 10 cents, depending on the price of the stock, but it's in that range. You're getting the high up here and the low. And that forms basically a doji. It's also referred to as like a doji star. You can also see, like, for example, there could be something like a hammer bottom, which is, the body of the candle is half the length of the shadow, or the shadow could be even more than twice the length of the body. But, these can be interesting candlestick patterns. Now, if you look at it this way, we're kind of looking at a combination of candlestick patterns in a sense. They're not candlesticks. We're just looking at any bars. In fact, we're just focusing on the low, that of the 5. Okay, that's it. But there are some interesting patterns too that might come up within a fractal. A fractal could be a downward bar. Because I'm drawing candles right now. I'm just going to do a doji down here, followed by an up bar. Okay, and I think many of you might know what this candle formation is. It's a confluence of candles, but it's a multi-bar candlestick formation. I should have just drawn this as a red bar, because normally it's your downward move, and this is your green bar going up, but I've got the color I've got at hand right here as blue. But that is referred to as a morning star reversal. The fractal kind of takes it to a whole different level. It's tied in to that Mandelbrot set. And so specifically, if I'm going to just look at the fractals, so these are patterns that repeat themselves at various magnifications. And so what we'll do is we'll get like a range over here that you might see a fractal pattern occur, and it looks a lot like a rounded bottom, but then you can see kind of a follow through to the upside. Now what we're going to be doing is just doing the coding for this so we can spot it within one bar over here. Okay, but these patterns occur over similar time frames. So we can get this, honestly, folks, we can get this on a 60-minute chart. Somehow my drawing got too big, or my font size got too big again. 60-minute. We can go 30-minute. Some people are going to go to a 5. I like to do this. Why not take a look at a daily pattern and a weekly pattern, for example? They can be very interesting too. Think about long-term reversal bottoms. So this is how traders can use them, but it's those 5 consecutive bars. Let's get back some drawings here. Oh, there we go. Chart right there. So let's get back to it, and I'm going to add it in right now, and I'm going to show you what this does, and then we're going to talk through some of the code here and talk about a few things that we can add to this as well. So this is going to be the code. Well, let's see. Yeah, the symbol itself. So I've just called it upward fractal. Now there are some indicators out there that are fractal indicators. We don't have it. I mean, in fact, if I go over here and type in fractal, there's really not. I mean, the ones I've created, but there's nothing else there. And so this is a way to get the fractal kind of concept here on the Thinkorswim platform. So it's an upward fractal. Let's click on it right now, and you can see some of these in the market occur too. Now, they can come as a confluence of reversal patterns, but I'm going to highlight a couple of these here, and we're going to go through them. But I mean, you can look at them on the market as well. Let's do this. Let's just use something like an Apple, and I'm going to show you what these could look like on a daily and on a weekly chart. I've got an arrow pointing here. I'm going to zoom in and just kind of highlight a specific page here for a specific area. In fact, let's just do where we're at right now to make this nice and clear. So remember what we mentioned. We said we need to have a couple of higher lows. Then we got our lowest low. And then we've got a couple of consecutive higher lows. Notice right here and right here. Do you see that? Can you guys point that out? You can see it. Hopefully I zoomed in enough. But this is the low point, which is our middle bar. So again, our middle bar has to be the low. And then we've got two preceding and 2 succeeding bars, you could say, over to the right. And then when you get that, you're going to get an arrow coming in right there. Okay, and that is where that's going to show up at. Okay, let's go ahead and highlight this. Now, one thing you'll note is you were getting them over here, and there was a possibility, perhaps, of a move. Did you see it? There's your middle bar. You're only going to get the arrow when it's the second one over. That was actually almost a close. No, it wasn't quite a close above the high to low day. You might get some K holds in here too, which could be an interesting comparison. But you're going down still. The issue is lower lows, lower highs. But it does say there could be the possibility of a reversal. Let me go into some other key areas. Let's go over here. Let's show you Tesla, for example. I'm going to zoom in to a couple of areas. You're really looking for a key reversal. So prices may be going down and then a reversal to hit. Here was an interesting one coming off of, well, this bar right here. Let's highlight it. Right there. So you see these low, low, your middle bar low, and you get a higher low, higher low. There was a follow through, and you can put this into the context of what's happening with the rest of the move. This ties back in, like I said, to the original Mandelbrot set. Now let's look and just see where we're at right now on Tesla as we look at it. Okay, so prices were coming down here. You did see a bit of a possible reversal here, but we came down, actually a trend line break, and then you got a fractal reversal right there. That is a fractal, potential fractal change. We actually held this longer term trend line, and we're bouncing up again with another fractal. There's your higher low pulling back again. Now, some of these do have earnings coming up, and you've got to draw attention to it, to that too. One thing I will say is that we're getting a lot of fractals on a daily chart. But if we were to go into a 60-day, 30-minute chart, you're going to get them here too, and you might be getting a lot more. But remember, it's fractal. It can be based upon different changes. We just looked at the daily chart of Tesla, and now we look at a possible fractal here on a 30-minute chart, right? The bar we're not closed yet on the day, but I have it again signaling it if we have a higher low than the middle bar low. And so what is this saying? Well, it's saying there could be possibly a fractal there. That's the question. Notice that we had one on the daily. I went to a shorter term time frame, and this could help to define that move. Once you have this candlestick chart data up, you're set. I mean, it goes on any time frame. The one I wanted to take you to, let's go back to the daily here for a second. I'll look at the chat, make sure we're all on the same page here. Oh, okay, so there is a Williams fractal. Okay, well, we've taken it a step further here into a different range with the last bar. So we're going to be looking at the last bar under the Chris, under the Market Watch tab. So we're going to have that there. It'll be identified here for us. That's good to know. I'm really glad. I mean, I did the code, and so it's going to be interesting. I'm going to explain to you exactly what that code's doing, which I think can open up a lot of doors to understanding how to program, or just code, I should say, code really, any sort of price changes. So this was a good way to do it. So let's go ahead and I'll point that out to you right now. It's interesting though, because I typed in fractal, nothing else did come up. I didn't see that, but I know Bill Williams was one of the guys that did work on that. Where I'm going with this though next is really another interesting area. You see just the magnitude of hits that we're getting in terms of the fractal spike, the arrow there. What if we just did this? This is what I want to show you, is the weekly chart. These are weekly charts, and let's just zoom in on Tesla over here, over this time frame, for example. We can go through other time frames too. I'd like to see this, but so here is. Let's see, Tesla off the bottom here. This was somewhat interesting because you're getting this fractal coming here. If I'm getting a bar coming up here, we know that the middle bar was going to be the low. So you had a low bar, higher low. Weekly chart, folks, think about it this way. They're not going to be as common when they come up, but that was actually a fairly decent sized reversal. Not only did you have a reversal here at the beginning, it's kind of just saying, okay, the move's already taken place, but it's saying reversal, question mark. As we come down here into a flat range, notice you got the same thing. And I have, over the years, recognized that sometimes you'll get a low just before prices break up higher. Has anybody else been on board with that? Have you seen that? I've actually seen in these consolidation patterns, not every time, obviously, there's nothing is, but it will come down here and all of a sudden, tick, there's a little low there. Kind of like, I don't want to say it like scares people out, freaks people out, gets them out of the trade. And then the next thing you know, could be one of these going higher is what could happen. And so you're looking at that reversal and bam, you get one right there, right as you're going above this range. Now, if you were looking at this on a Market Watch screen, you could see it, or we could scan for it. No problem. I've got a scan tool mechanism as well to do the same thing within the same bar. Let's keep going on a weekly. Just keep in mind the size of these moves that can occur after. It may be a little bit bigger. That's about a 45, maybe a 50, close to a 50-point move after that initial move. But you can see that did confirm a possible reversal on a fractal scale. So the fractal reversal was there. I'm just going to type it in one more time for those of you just joining us. When I say fractal, yeah, we're looking at a fractal from a Mandelbrot set converted into the market, which is what a lot of technicians have done with, let's say, Fibonacci numbers, things like that. Okay, our next one. Where do we have? Where could the potential reversal be? Where's your low bar? low, low, main low, right? That's really the low point. Higher low, bam. Potential fractal reversal right there. Okay. And on a weekly chart, I mean, if the trend is up, you might be looking at a longer term move here too. And it was. And you got actually another one right there. Do you see how is what's fascinating is it how it kind of clues your eyes in to where a low is being made and then the move occurs. Let's point this one out real quick. Oh, there we go. Okay, this move right here. See the low? What we were just saying about the consolidation low? Imagine having to wait for a low on a weekly chart. It takes a while, but there's a low taking place right there. This code could actually be adjusted too to this bar if we were anticipating a move coming up, right? But it is a higher low than your middle bar. Let's look at the code right now and let's explain it in detail. Okay, so here we go to the code. Let's go into it. It might be kind of basic, but that's the way I like this to go. Okay, can you guys see that okay? I don't know if I can, let me try this. I'm gonna go up top here. Yeah, hang on. I don't know, hopefully you can see it a little bit better, but I can see it clearer, but I've got a big screen right in front of me. So straightforward, so easy to do. All we're really looking at here in our first set of lines, and there's more than one way to do this for sure. There's more than one way. But I'm just looking at a 5-bar sequence relative to the current bar. That's all we're talking about right there. 5-bar sequence. And to do that, well, we have to define those 5 bars over here. Okay? And so we do that. The simple definition of define, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got the 5 bars in place. I put a little note over here to the right just so we can follow along with that a little bit. But basically, this is looking back over 4 bars. So if we are on the 1, 2, 3 to be our low bar, 4 and 5 bars, if I'm going back from my current bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that's the bar we're talking about right there. It's the furthest one back. In fact, just put a little note there, 2 steps before the middle bar. This is what we're coding, and you can see that equal sign. I've cut through that equal sign. One second, let's get to it. So we're defining this low one, our initial bar, basically the first bar of the 5, but it's 4 bars ago from the current bar that we're on right now, if it could in fact qualify. And that is exactly where we put in the brackets around 4. So that's the low bar of 4 bars ago. 3 bars ago, 2 bars ago, 1 bar ago, and that is our current bar, but it's still looking at using, the middle bar. We're still tying this back into the middle bar. So let's talk about the fractal condition, and this is basically it, because everything else is just the drawing, whatever color you want. I did state up here, yeah, you can actually see it. There's a fractal reversal, just a little label to throw over there, and you've got some of the codes here for the labels, etc. A good quick way to learn this code is just to use maybe what I've got here, what other ones we have in Thinkorswim, and you can just kind of get a sense of the order that you need to, have each of these, I guess, specific code inputs in place. This, of course, is just in quotes that we're going to have this in. But little side note there. Okay, let's get into the fractal condition itself. Very, very straightforward, right? It is a downward fractal in terms of, I'm actually using this as an upward. I've called it downward here because I am going down, but it's signaling a reversal to the upside. That could be a little bit backwards, so I could flip that. But anyways, I stuck with it, as you can see. Let's go through it and just make sure it's nice and clear. So what was our middle bar? It's 2 bars back of our 5-bar sequence, so it's right there. What do we call it? It's 2 bars back from our current bar, but it's also known as the 3rd bar or the middle bar. 1, 2, the 3 bar here. Okay. And so with that, all we're just saying is that it's going to be lower than all of the other lows. Low 1, 2, 2 bar, 4, and 5. That's it. That's the condition. Now, what I've done in here is I've drawn this in where, let's see, I've got, yeah. So the thing I found out about this is anytime you want to do anything similar to this, you can do like the K-hole, close above the high, the low day in a similar type fashion, just using a couple of bars. Well, I'm going to combine that today just for fun on our list, but this will hopefully give you some coding ideas, anytime you want to do, any sort of reversals off the bottom, whatever you might be looking for. I know that some of our coaches look for a 2-day follow through. Well, you could do that too, but specifically for fractals, we're using lows. Okay, so let's go ahead and just share this right now into the chat. And there it is. So this is for charts specifically. The other one I have in place over here for you guys is in the Market Watch. Oh, wow. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. S&P 500 is okay. Let me take a couple of these off. I'll take off our 1 week change for now, although that could be an interesting one to look at. We'll take off we can leave a MACD crossover. Why not? I've got a few things in there, but if you have too much data in there, it will bog things down a little bit. Okay, so up, fractal. There we go. Okay, and the way I've set this up, I'll put it all the way to the top here. So if you're looking for those fractals, and the way I kind of created this was that we wanted to use this over the current bar. I was looking at a 2-bar back, but these can be very quick reversals. Let me just share this with you right now. Yeah, I've just got it set up as a 1-bar back. In fact, I'll just share it while we've got it. This is going to be for the Market Watch or the tab specifically. Okay. Oh yeah. So I'll show you, Dave. Good question. That's for Market Watch tab, and this is cool because, and you'll see the code. There's just the difference down here between the Scan tab, the Market Watch tab, and the charts themselves. But down here, as you can see in this area, right there, right. We're actually looking at specifically a 1-bar back up top. And if I wanted to look back at a couple of different bars, what I would do is put my brackets right after this up fractal. And I could change that if I wanted to. So if I wanted to say, give me the fractal within the last 2 bars, well, I click right in here. I go to brackets. Where's my brackets? Right there. Oh, sorry. Brackets, and I could say something like a 1 here. So it looks back a single bar and just gives us that. So that would fit in there. And we could go back, but that would be looking at the 2 bars back. Right now, I was just saying, let's make it current. And we'll just go back to where we were. And that is the code there. And I just sent that into the chat. Now, yeah, real quick. Let's see. Dave asks, where do I find the upper fractal? So I sent the code to you, right, Dave? It's what you do. You want to copy that. That was the first one I sent. Copy that. Put it up into the setup up top. Go to Open Settings and paste it in here. Click on Preview. And then what will happen is, and you'll get a chance to name that, I think, or rename it. If you're in the charts, and when we're looking at the charts, you can come over here and click on the dropper icon and just search out upward fractal over here. Upward fractal, and it will be right there. All right, let's see. Oh, we got JB here. Awesome. Appreciate him being here. And folks, I do see that there was a survey link in the chat. So yeah, if you get a chance to fill that out, that would be great. There's just 2 questions in that survey link, I believe, just 2. There might be a comment in there as well. But if you find these sessions helpful, useful, you can put that in there, folks. Also, subscribe. Please subscribe. You'll see the subscribe button at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And what I'm doing is I'm tapping into some of the topic requests we've had. This is one I just kind of pieced together myself. We'll have some others coming up very short term. And by the way, I do appreciate some of the DMs that I've been sent to, and always great to touch base with you guys there. If you like today's presentation, smash that like button. Helps force that YouTube algorithm to keep this kind of content coming up more frequently for you. All right. Enough said there. By the way, just as a quick note on this weekly pattern, do you see anything else over here that could draw your attention to this? I mean, another fascinating way to look at this is look over here with me. I've actually got these lines drawn in here. You have a fractal on every single one of this head, shoulder, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Head up by the shoulder, head, shoulder right there. You're getting a fractal off every one. Could that confirm an inverse or a head and shoulders bottom? Shoulder, head, shoulder. I think many of you are used to this. I know I am too. The shoulder, head, shoulder. Normally, this would be the possible weak side breakdown. This is just quite the opposite. You got a shoulder, head, shoulder here. Fractal, fractal, fractal. Possibly confirming it. Could be, you could, I mean, there's some really cool ways to potentially utilize this and have it just kind of sitting behind the screen on your chart, as you go through this. Let's go ahead and look at some others too. I sent this, did a tweet. By the way, definitely give us a follow. I do send out some of this information, or at least concepts, and feel free to DM me too on X. My handle there is just Mike Fairborn CS. Be sure to follow James Boyd. He has some great stuff really to kind of keep a watch on as well. Does Mr. Boyd a lot of good things there, but I'll just throw this into the chat so you guys have it. But yeah, feel free to follow me there if you haven't already. You could DM me in that approach either. David, don't tell or share with anyone. Okay. Okay, JB's sharing his secret codes in the chat again. Awesome. Let's see. Head, I just know head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeah, hey, there you go. You know what? I'll say this. If this is the head over here, Thea, if that's the head, I got to tell you, and these are the shoulders, then the knees and the toes are going to be over here. If in fact it does follow through that way, you want to see the knees and the toes, if that's the case. But yeah, this person's on their head. So there you go. All right. All right. Any other code you guys are thinking of in terms of changes? You guys are looking at fractals here. Fractals over a number of different time frames. You find that interesting? I do. I thought it was fascinating. This is dive into what's referred to as the Mandelbrot set. I'm just going to type this in here. This is how you spell it too. I was spelling it wrong. I was fascinated about this a long time ago, but I didn't dive in. I didn't know it was tied into fractals, but this is what the fractals are tied into. I just put it into the chat there. Mandelbrot. Some interesting stuff on it. It has a lot to do with like potential changes in geometric shapes in the environment, in nature, etc. We talked about this one on Tesla. Let's hit some other ones. And by the way, let's use this to hit them. Let's let them load up right now and let's take a look at it. By the way, a cool one to add in here is going to be the K-hold concept that I came up with. I'm just kidding. It might have been JB. I'm joking. JB's been using it for a long time, but heck, I'll take credit. Of course, he might get mad at me. Just kidding. So let's take it off. Let's go ahead and pull that off right now. Let's put on our K-hold. Remember the K-hold, which could tie into something like a fractal reversal too, because it's closing above the high to low day. Let's set them up side by side and see if you're getting a K-hold and a fractal or one or the other. Then you could wait for the confirmation possibly of a fractal after the K-hold or K-hold and then a fractal confirm. We can go either way. We're not picky in this class. Let's go ahead and pull it up. But talk about a couple of different interesting ways to maybe line this up. Now, this class is about the fractal. Sorry, James. It's going to be about the fractal. No, I'm just kidding. I think the first time I heard of K-holds, it was from JB. So that's why I'm going on. Let's go into it right now. Let's click. So you're going to show ones in here if you got it today. We got a few. Now, step back for a second. This is the S&P 500. We got a chunk of companies giving it today. Could that tell us anything about what the potential move of the market could be too? We could look at the market to see if it has a fractal as well, but it could be a risk-on scenario where there might be strength, reversal strength to the upside. I want to look at a few of these right now as we've got it. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go through and we talked to Tesla. There were some others in here too. Oh, Yeah, PSX is in there. What's going on with PSX? Oh, so interesting. It's not nearly as choppy as some of the others. I'm really interested to see what the weekly chart would do. Okay, look at this over here. You really don't get much of anything all the way down until you do right there. Fractal, right off that bottom. Boom. Did we get the fractal? Let's confirm it. Do you guys see it? Let me know if you want me to count it out again. Do you see the fractal? Do you see where the arrow's coming in? Where that fractal could be? I zoomed in so much I don't even know where I'm at. Let me go back. There we go. Right there. So I was looking at this big downward move right here. Notice you're kind of basing a little bit down here too. The trend begins to go sideways. Trend line break possibly? Who knows? Look at this. Do you see it? Oh, okay. Ocean's got one there. Right there. Where's your middle bar? It's right there. Two before it. Right here, right here. Higher, higher. Oh, fractal confirmed right there. Right off that base. You guys have the code for it. You can play around with a lot of these different little things, but that is actually a fractal right there. Did we reverse from that? We did. Did we get another fractal off the next one? We did. There's that low bar right there, which is interesting because in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking about candlesticks too. Can you confirm a candle within a fractal? Look at this candle. It's very interesting. It sits right in the middle, right in the middle. Candlestick in terms of like a doji or a hammer. We just got another one right now. Could we be on our next leg up? Well, that remains to be seen. I'm going to go ahead and take, it depends on the time frame you're looking at too. I think some people would be shorter term traders. I'm going into a weekly here. See what you got. So there were quite a few down through here. Now, there were some reversals off some of these as well. But look at this coming down. You got it right there, and you kind of bounce. So you did get a weekly reversal. Let's go ahead and do another one. How about Dow? Dow was in our list. I saw it right next to it. Okay, interesting. You're getting a double fractal right here. And I don't know. I'm not seeing any fractals all the way down here. Bit of a reversal right there as well. Come down, come down, come down. Cool time to look at some indicators, possibly. What's going on with your indicators over here? There is your bounce up possible test. Remains to be seen. There are a lot of possibilities on this. There's no doubt about it. You can do a lot with simple coding is what really kind of our concept was today as we went through that. Now, the next thing we could talk about is really, and we're combining it with the K-hold. In fact, I wanted to look at one right now that just has both. So it's off the 500. It's a lot. I have to load up, but we're almost there. You could always do the NASDAQ 100, obviously, just by dropping the box down and hitting the NASDAQ 100, but we're there. So look at some of these. So VLO has both. So not only are you getting a fractal today, but it's actually a close above the high to low day, possibly. In other words, it might not be a close above the high to low day because the bar hasn't closed yet. We still have what, 20 minutes left in the trading day. Let's look at these. So I've got these in mind, VLO and MPC, but what about MCK as well? So let's start off with that one, then we'll go MPC. I'm gonna go back to our daily chart because this is really, it's geared towards the daily, not the weekly. There's your Dow, by the way, right there coming off. And sometimes what could be done is we could wait for the trend to signify a change, a higher low, and then look at the fractals there too. So you got the trend and the fractal, right? All right. Just some ideas. I mean, there's just endless ideas when you have something like a fractal out here. Okay, close above the high, the low day. Oh, this is kind of an interesting pattern. It's very interesting in terms of a longer term shoulder, head, shoulder, possibly. I don't know. That's a very kind of an unusual pattern, but it did get, it was signaled here. That is perhaps at the end of the day, we'll know if it's a fractal because we said there's still time left. But are we closing with a high low day in the last couple days? I think I have it the last couple days. Yes, we did, like right there. There's your low bar. You closed above the high low day. I don't know if that's like the best setup, but MPC and then VLO were the other ones we were looking at. So there you go. Think about trend follow through of a potential trend. That might have a long-term downward trend line break as well. But if you're looking over here, fractal, close above the high to low day, yes, you got both. And VLO. Okay, so fascinating here. Look at this. So we've got this move over here. These are both in energy, by the way. That little side note. There's some resistance just above. Now we bounced up there, and that was a very, very sharp upward move. The question then becomes, the question is, can we break resistance? Because we might have some strength up to that point, and that could be something to look at. And by the way, why is that showing a number? That's really, really weird. Look at earnings over here. We haven't hit earnings yet. Did they pre-announce earnings? Because it's got a number in here. I can't remember the last time oh, it's a dividend. Oh, it's a dividend above it. It looks so funny. It's actually the dividend. Okay. There you go. Earnings coming up as well on that. But yeah, just some ideas in terms of programming and getting some of the possible reversals off the top and the bottom. And by the way, yeah, real easy to do. Many of these. What else? We got a lot to look at here if you wanted to. One quick note that somebody did mention. I don't use this every time, but I can. Anytime you want to look at a chart, pull up these on a chart very quickly that have the fractal. Of course, you can take this code and just throw it over here, which might be a very, very easy way to do this. If I wanted to look at those, I mean, that's a lot of symbols to look at. You might want to look through them pretty quickly. Go to just create a watch list. Oh, sorry, not yet. Don't go to create a watch list. Go to S&P 500 right there. Okay, let's close this guy up. Let's open it back up. There's your 500. We've got some column space. So I don't know if we need all these columns in here. We can just add one in here too. Let me take the K-hold out for now, or K-hold, I believe is the correct term for it. Let's see, pull it over, click OK, because you can't have too much data usage on these demo accounts. And so I think on your live account, you just get more leeway. But let me go ahead and customize this and put it in right over here. In fact, I'm going to take I'll take the net change out, and I'm just going to put in this up fractal right there, and you can just pull it up here. So now we have the chart on the right-hand side that we can link, which is already linked to a 1. You see it right there? I think you guys know this. Charts now over here is linked to 1, and as soon as my fractals load, which I think they just did, I can just simply go over here and click on it and see possible reversal points. Trend is down clearly. Now you're finally getting a possible high or low here with your fractal, but just go through and take a look at some of these. Remember, if you're looking for maybe bigger moves, you could always just use a different time frame. I would say potentially bigger moves. We don't know if we're going to get a bigger move. This is to signal basically a daily move off the daily chart, not the weekly. But there is a tendency sometimes on these to kind of help you with those low turning points. All right, again, folks, just a reminder, yes, there is a survey link in the chat. Thanks again, James, for posting that in. So that's what we had today, folks. I want to talk about really fractals specifically and ways to incorporate that. I wanted to go through the code so we could see specifically what that looked like, how you can make adjustments to code off different time frames, off different formats. And now when you look at, let's say, for example, the code on a K-hold, then you might say, oh, I can see what they're doing here. So it's easiest in a lot of ways to start off with the actual data itself, and then go from there. By the way, I was just thinking about another cool code we could tie into this if we ever wanted to down the road. We could have it do this. We could have it on a weekly and a daily fractal, showing up at the same time. That's totally doable. Multiple time frames, folks. We could have it show up on a 60-minute. Whoa, all three. Daily, weekly, 60-minute. You can just get a lot of 60 minutes in there, but there's a lot of possibilities here that hopefully I showed you guys today. Be sure to always include your other indicators and stuff we discussed in the past too, if you like. On that note, folks, have a fantastic weekend. It's good to be with you. Thanks, James, as always, for being here in the chat. I'll look forward to future discussions with you guys. Have a great weekend.